My dinner table at home, it was family. It was happiness. We grew up very. My mindset wasn't poor because I didn't know what poor meant for rich. There was no difference. But it was the family that gathered together, and it was an enjoyable time. It doesn't matter what we ate. In fact, it was very simple. Very simple. I grew up in Mexico, so Mexican food every day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, right. But truly, the meal didn't matter. It was more the moment that we captured, and we everybody got to share their day, and everybody around the table was like waiting for like to tell what happened that day. And when one of us, or usually like my older um, siblings were not able to attend, it was like an empty space. So that that's my memory of the meal.
That's excellent. So you had siblings as well?
Oh yes, I do. I have lots. It's a family of eight. Nine
Wow.
was actually so eight siblings. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So what was a favorite meal of everyone's growing up? What was something that you guys always looked forward to?
So on the weekends we have a special meat day. During the weeks it was not like meat wasn't served. So
Hmm.
the weekends was a special because we got some kind of meat, whatever that meat was. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you eventually came to the US. Can you talk a little bit about, when you came here and what life was like for you when you arrived?
yes, of course. So I came to the United States when I was 23 years old. I had reached my career high point in Mexico. I was in business. I had a degree in business, and I practiced for 5 years before I came. When I came to the States, I didn't speak the language, so I couldn't practice my profession, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't. I had $100 in my pocket and just a brain full of dreams.
Hmm.
And so that's when it was a aha moment, like, oh, I need to build up my bag of tools. The first thing was to learn English,
Hmm.
and that's how it started.
And so how did you go about going to learn English? Did you jump into school or did you
So I
self-teach yourself?
so I went to the university because that's like I had a degree, so I was like, okay, here's my degree. How can I learn English? Little did I know, like, yeah, you can't just come to the university and start taking classes. There is a process. So I needed to transcribe my transcripts, and I learned that it would take a while before I could actually attend classes. So I went to the community college, and they pretty much laughed at me, like literally laughed at me, and I was like, okay, like I need to find other ways. So I started attending the free classes that was provided by a church, English as a second language, and I met tons of people from different countries, and they were there for the same reason. And so I challenged the EBD to get into college. And my first semester in college, I enrolled for anatomy and physiology, microbiology, statistics, and psychology. That was my first semester
Wow.
of college, and I was still trying to learn English. So my textbooks pretty much taught me my English. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling her, "This highway is so convoluted." She's like, "What? Convoluted?" I'm like, "Oh, like the renal tubules, like they're convoluted." That to me, that's like I learned medical terminology and English at the same time.
Oh, wow. Wow. So were you able to read English before you were able to speak it, or was it pretty well about the same time?
Well, at the beginning, I was able to write it better than I was able to pronounce it, especially like the big words.
Hmm.
How to call me, and so it's just stuff like that. I was like, okay, like let me spell it out. In fact, I would just carry a translator with me because I'll be like typing it and like show it to people.
Yeah. Yep.
It was disabling in a way, but at the same time, I was like, I'm gonna do it. There's no way I can stay here and be disabled. Like this is part of being part of this country, and
Hmm.
to me, that was no different than just doing your labor or your work as keeping the house clean, or any other um, very basic obligations.
Hmm. No, that's fantastic. So what happened next? So you took these all of these different classes in college. Um, did you go into some of those fields then after college?
Yes. So I became a nurse, and after that, I got my master's degree in anesthesia provider. So I'm a certified registered nurse anesthetist, and I graduated after that with a doctorate degree. So it took a little while in school, but I acquired all that, and I've been practicing now for uh, 10 years as an anesthesia provider.
Excellent, excellent. So what happened next? What was your next move? Obviously, you've done some other things. You weren't satisfied with being a nurse. So what was the next move that you did?
So after I graduated with my doctorate degree, I went to serve in the military. So I became a naval officer, and I enjoyed my time there. And I was deployed and serving overseas. In the background, all these real estate deals were happening. So I don't know if you want to focus on that as well. But yes, uh, I yeah, so then I formed my business for providing my anesthesia services, and for the first 5 years I practiced as a W-2, and then after I started studying the taxation laws and the way of doing business in the states, I incorporated and became a 1099 and took advantage of all this taxation laws pretty much.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So I wanted to kind of go back. You touched on something. You said that there is a lot of real estate investing in that was happening, sort of in the background. So were you deployed overseas and you were investing in real estate, or did the real estate investing happen after you came back to the States?
That's a really good question. Thanks for asking that because it usually is like kind of in the background. But when I graduated as a nurse, I purchased my first duplex. Um, I didn't know much about the housing situation in the states. In Mexico, there's a different way of living. So what I was looking for was something that makes financial sense. So my idea was to continue to go to school. I just wanted to achieve the highest degree of education, but I didn't know much about CRNA field and what that entitled, which is a whole different um, topic that we can elaborate on. But so I purchased my first duplex thinking if I have to go to school somewhere, I can rent one side, or if anything, I can live in one side and then rent the other side out. Um, so when I went to CRNA school, I was actually able to rent that out and keep that going and still being able to put myself through school. And when I came back from anesthesia school, I purchased my other house, my other primary house in house active pretty much. Then I started traveling as a 1099 and I rented out as the house as a Airbnb,
Mhm.
and I was able to keep my belongings there and still rent out the two other rooms. And then eventually, somebody wanted the full house, and I moved out of that. So I was doing this as just like a side gig. But when I deployed, I pretty much took full time learning about the business. On the way out, literally on the way to the bus to get shipped out, one of the enlisted mentioned said he was doing some reading and he mentioned the bigger pocket um, podcast, and and then he explained a little bit about it, and I was just like dove into learning, and I for 7 months that I was away, if I wasn't exercising, I was reading about real estate, and that's when I captured that this is a will building tool. Like I can
Mhm.
use this and I can make it work, and having my income as a 1099 and flexibility. I just that's when I decided I need to put all my money here. This is where I need to go. So when I came back, I pretty much started heavily investing, and it's been nonstop since then.
That's great. That's great. And where do you primarily focus your investments at?
So we are our portfolio majority of it is in Austin, Texas, and
Hmm.
we just recently, last year we went to look at cash flow monthly. in Killeen, Texas, and then last week we closed the property in Temple. So it's kind of a triangle around
Hmm.
Texas.
Very cool. So now, since you were in the military, are there benefits or programs that you were able to capitalize on to invest in real estate or to help your investment in real estate?
There are benefits and the VA loan so you can get with no payment, but so far, well, we last year actually we bought one of the duplex that we purchased it under the name of the company, and then we refinanced it on the VA loan. Because we want to do an Airbnb and also the laws have been changing for the requirements to be owner occupied. So that was the only reason to do it that way. But we haven't. We actually converted our portfolio to a commercial um, portfolio, so we prefer not to keep anything on.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you have experience doing typical rentals as well as Airbnbs at this point. Do you have a preference of one over the other? And can you explain what, why you like that one better?
Um, yes, of course. So there is benefits and, um, and pros and cons to both. The cash flow is really enticing for the short-term rental. We actually right now we have two like well, no short-term rental, but it's a corporate rental,
Okay.
and it's really nice because the cash flow really nicely. It's a furnished unit. We assume all the expenses and um, but it's good to have a person that stays for 4 years and you don't have turnover to still close and
Hmm.
so you just have to make sure that if you're gonna do either way, if you're gonna do a long term, that you are have systems in place so that you can find good tenants, good residents, and if you are doing short term, that you're using a company that is going to be absorbing the liability for the residents.
Hmm. And your corporate rental, how did you find, how do you find people for that? Are you basically just advertising it the same way, or do you actually approach, larger companies and say, we have this, we have this space available, it's furnished. Do you have any executives or what have you that are interested in spaces like that? How did you first start renting that one out?
Yeah, so the first time that we did it actually was through a couple that all they did is like they found properties that were in a place that people wanted to live and well kept and they rented one of our duplexes and they did pretty much we did it through them. We signed the lease to them and they rented out. And then we started learning a little bit more and actually the two units that are right now in corporate housing, we had them as a Airbnb units, and due to the situation that is currently ongoing,
Yeah.
they were canceled. So we have reached out to another company that sometimes we use their help for like work. And their mission is to provide housing and meals to immigrants that are actually waiting for to hear their appeal or their case. So they are legally here until they hear their results for their case. So that's what the company does. And we have reached out to them to say, hey, if you ever need affordable housing or a furnished place, here we are. We might be able to help. So when all this happened, they were apparently releasing all of this detainees like massively, and they were like they didn't have a place to house them, so they reached out to us, and just because we had mentioned that hey, if there's any opportunity that you might or any needs that you might have, we might be able to help you, and that's when we actually converted all the one bedroom, not one bedroom, but like the beds into bunk beds so that they can accommodate for two adults, like in each room. Um,
That's
we have,
great.
yeah, that was really good network networking results, and it's being paid off right now.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. So who is it, the resident that is paying for the property, or is there some kind of a program or something that they are in that pays for them?
It's the organization that like pretty much takes the responsibility for in between the time that they're released from the detention center to the time that they actually get to hear their case. So these people are pretty much in the waiting, like, so if they have family, they can be with the family, but most of them don't. So these organizations, that's what they do. It's based here in Austin. And it's an awesome organization, and they provide housing, and even after, like, they provide jobs. And, so yeah,
That's
that's
really cool. We actually have a property that might be able to benefit from that. So I'd love to be able to connect with you a little bit more on that. That's incredible. Typically, how long do they stay in the facilities for? I mean, what is I guess the transition process timeline that you're
it so
normally dealing with?
depends on how complicated the case is. Um, and some of them are just like, right now with the situation that we're facing, they have to be isolated, but yeah, quarantine for
Yeah.
14 days before they move to another location. So what they were doing is they were being released to the duplexes, and then once that they, you know, tested, or they were ready to move into the bigger facility that they have, which is other like 4 houses that they have. They rent out as well, and some of them they purchase them. The company, the organization purchased them, but that's kind of the transition. So that the residents arrive from the detention center into our place, and then from there to their time. But as far as like how long they think the organization, if they have a family member, they pretty much pay their way to whatever they are. Um, they can help them that. Otherwise, they just have to stay in that place. And usually, once that they get their case viewed or here, then they are released, and they get like they're pretty much legal to work or whatever, and the organization provides them with links to jobs and even like with apartments set up. So that's what we actually advertise. Like, hey, we might be able to help you or help your residents, but then it came like a higher need, and now they're on the list actually.
Yeah.
So the organization is signed the lease with us. So
Yep.
whether they use it or not, they're paying for the places.
Yeah, that's I love that. That's fantastic. So what happens next? What's some of the next things that you're looking to get into? What are some of the next goals?
Oh, that's a very important question, and thanks for asking that, because we do have big goals. So like I mentioned before, it's me and my husband, a team of two, and we are on a mission to divulge financial literacy, financial education, and we want to capture people here in the States, as part of networking and providing a networking setting that people can share how to set up their business, how to run their business, how to take advantage of the taxation laws. And we also are in planning community wellness outreach to Mexico primarily, and probably we'll send it to other countries where the needs are. But so what we're doing is that the advice or the mentoring that we're providing here to small business owners, we're not charging. It's free of charge, but we take donations so that we can make the other goal feasible. So I was on the phone yesterday with a friend of mine, a mastermind friend of mine, and we discussed strategies pretty much like this is what you could be doing. This is you need to incorporate. You need to do a self-directed 401k, and so he's running the numbers as I'm speaking, and he's like, just by talking to you, I think I can put away $40,000 just by running the numbers that you're proposing.
Hmm.
And so by mentoring our friends and our successful people that are doing it, but they're just not taking advantage of what you could be taking advantage of. So if I save you anything, please donate to the organization so that we can then carry on that mission of educating others and Um, we, again, we probably bring the medical aspect to the outreach, just because both of us, my husband and I, are in the medical field,
Mhm.
and we feel that we can make the change then uh, early, and even if it's just the inspiration to the kids to let them know that there's other ways of living, because this families, these kids, they have never seen anything outside of what their community is, and their community is very very poor. So
Mhm.
that's what we would like to do.
That's fantastic. And so ultimately, do you see this as being some type of an online platform where people would log in and see all of your information, or what? How do you foresee, I guess, administrating this this program of yours?
Yes, so we do have a website where we share some strategies. We have tools that we share, like just finding yourself and your journey from financial dependency to financial independence and then financial abundance. So we have this tool that we can share so people can identify themselves, and then we can get together. We call it the tactical polls, where we can then let's see where you are, and then let's see what steps you need to take to make your goal, to reach your goal. Most people is financial independence
Hmm.
um, or financial abundance. So we want to do a personalized goal rather than put in a program where the message is diluted and it's not applicable to everybody. There's every person is different, and every strategy that we suggest, it must be personalized. And even along the journey, things are going to change. So we want to continue to be there to provide them the guidance. And um, eventually, and we are working currently on developing an app, and probably be released this year. But it's just providing the tools so that we can have the continuity of connection and growing along with them as they go through their journey. So we see relationships as the long term rather than making an impact and selling something.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. If people wanted to reach out and learn more about you or anything that you're doing, what would you say is the best way for them to do that?
So we have a website. It's www. From financial survival to financial independence.com. You can subscribe there. You can email me there, and or you can every Wednesday we have the Wednesday money talks, and we gather there. You can also subscribe to the website, and we will send you the link. And it's a group, it's a community that we are gathering, and everybody learns from each other. Pretty much expedite the curve on the journey.
I love it. I love it. You've got some great projects going on, and actually, are you planning on investing in more real estate as well?
We just closed yesterday, and
Oh, well,
it's a complete renovation, like $100 per square foot type of thing. Um,
wow.
so yeah, as we speak, I drop off the check for the foundation. The foundation people are doing their job today, and yeah, it's super exciting. Um, I don't know if your audience would like to hear about this, but just a very good time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, how did you find it? How did you come across that one?
So it came from the wholesaler. We've been buying from him. It's been a really good connection, and he knows our criteria. And if it doesn't make sense, he doesn't even bother to send it. So when he sent it, it was Friday about 10 o'clock. I was closing up the day with my husband, and because he's in San Diego, his station there. So closing up the day, he's like, "Did you see that email?" And I'm like, "No." So let me run through the numbers. So he run the numbers, and I'm like, why did we not make the call? Like we so the next day, I met with the wholesaler first thing in the morning and make the cash offer right there, and 11 days later we close it. We
Oh,
close.
that's fantastic. That's
Yeah,
great. That's great. Congratulations.
thank you. Very
So
excited about it.
so it's all about relationships, and if you've built that relationship with that wholesaler, and it paid off again. So that's great. That's great. Well,
Yes,
excellent. No, I love your story, and I think we'll have to connect again here at some point in the future and hear what you have going on, because again, I love having enterprising people, on the show, and you've done a lot. So it's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that we speak the same language of real estate. That's pretty awesome. But
Absolutely.
I also enjoy the other people that engage in some kind of income, which it's awesome. You have to diversify. You have to create the income from different sources, especially during these days. So thanks for having me in the show. This was wonderful.
No problem. No problem.